Welcome, this is Dan French here with LV Home Experts, the show, and I'm in studio with Chuckits Crusoe from Simply Vegas. I'm in studio with, go ahead, take it. Greg Clutters, sorry about that. I wanted to give you guys a quick shout out. You know, we're in studio here, we're just trying to get all this stuff going. We're streaming live everywhere, and Chuckits, you're streaming live right now on YouTube, right?
That is correct.
What's going on with that, man? How's that going?
I don't know. We got a couple people live right now, so just quick shout out to everybody that's live on the air. So I do appreciate that. Now, if you guys have any questions regarding real estate or financing, please call into studio at 702-257-5396. Also, we do have a podcast too as well. So if you guys missed this episode, how do we get to that podcast?
Do a French Workbench podcast. We have that going on right now, and also I put that on iTunes. You got it on iHeartRadio. You also have it. We also have it on SoundCloud. So if you guys want to take a look at that, you know that's pretty good because we have all of our past shows, and also a lot of good information on financing, real estate, also money talk, a lot of things out there. So we're just trying to get settled here. So, Greg, what's going on, man? How you been, buddy?
I'm busy, man. Things are good. Things are very good, yeah. We've seen a lot going on in the local market, and we've seen a lot of transitioning over the past couple months during the pandemic, so that's what we're here to talk about.
What about you, Chuck? What's been going on with you, brother?
Same thing, just crazy busy. After April, everything just kind of skyrocketed.
Went
like
bonkers.
Crazy. Yeah. It's just kind of weird. I thought this market was going to tank, but boy, I was wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what, the market's been doing very well. I think that you look at what's going on with rates, and you look at what's going on with the housing market. What are some of the challenges you've been seeing out there, Greg, as far as people, you know, coming into the market? It's really hot today, isn't it?
It is hot out.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
Buck 10, buck 12?
Buck 12, man. Sorry about that.
I'll take buck 15.
Stop. Careful, son.
Tell us some of the challenges, because everybody wants to know what challenges are happening in Las Vegas right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I keep hearing, when should I buy, when should I sell? Everyone wants time frames, and I typically tell clients the same response in this general market. Don't buy into fear. You know, there's a lot of, misinformation going around, maybe misconceptions, if you would, about what's going on here. You know, our market's very well and alive.
It seems like a lot of people are trying to time the market, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's kind of a natural case with anybody. Yeah. You know, everyone wants to buy at the right time, buy low, sell high, vice versa.
So what do you do, or what do you say to that client where they're like, hey, I want to buy low? Like, how do you educate them, or what do you do? What are the steps, or what are the process of kind of having them to kind of realize maybe now is the time to buy?
It's about being reasonable with the data. You know, I don't make up the data. I don't massage the data. The data is the data, and those they speak volume, in my opinion. Yeah. It's about articulating that information, breaking it down, and disseminating it to my audience. Yeah. And when people work with me, they know that I'm a very honest man. Yeah. And I'm going to give it to you straight. I've done this a long time, as everybody else, right? You know how that works. But it just comes down to the data. You know, this is what's going on. Every property is going to present different cases. And we just have to extract the right data for the right community, and specifically towards a property that this client might be interested in.
So if a client came to you and said, hey, look, I'm planning on buying a home, but this is probably going to be an investment property, but I'm only going to stay here for 1 year, and I'm thinking about flipping this thing and making some money, what would your response be to something like that?
Well, that's a great point, because we're talking short-term investments at that point. Yeah. Flipping, I've done that for many years. It's a different model. I'm not a huge advocate of that, just because there's a lot more challenges that reside. There is a deal that can be made, absolutely. But really right now, if you're going to be in your house, investment or otherwise, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever, every market bounces back and values do change substantially. So I think it's a safer bet. Short term, I'm not huge on right now.
And that's the point I'm trying to make here, is because we do have clients like that where, they come into the office and they're trying to speculate, but some clients are looking to buy 5, 10, or 15 years where they're going to stay in that property. And that's where you kind of educate them. Maybe now is the time to buy.
I think you're in great shape if you're doing that.
Yes, exactly. Because like you said, the market is going to go up and down.
Right.
And when I bought a home, I bought it on the down cycle, and I thought I bought it at a good price. It still went down another $60,000. But now it's worth about $130,000 more than what I paid. So again, you just got to play the game and just kind of really know where you stand. And
time is on your side, essentially. Exactly. In this market. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've learned with real estate. You can never time the market. I mean, 3 years ago, I was under contract with one of the deals that we had together. And it was a duplex and another house I was going to buy. Now I'm kicking myself in the butt because I was trying to time out that market, and I thought that the market was going to tank. I could have had another $250,000 sitting in the bank, but it was that mistake that I made.
Right. And that's how it works, we don't have crystal balls.
Yeah.
I say this to all my clients.
Yeah, you don't have a crystal ball.
If you're listening, you're hearing it again.
Right?
If I had two of them, it'd be a different game. But no, we don't. What we do is we read the data. We kind of go with where is our economy headed? Where is our market headed? And we just try to make the best educated decision based off the data that we read.
So with what's going on with the market right now, where do you think where we are going and what home buyers should be expecting?
Well, what are we seeing, guys? I'm preaching to the data, right?
Yeah.
So what did we see? We saw an increase of value over June to July. We're up about median purchase price or sales price, shall I say?
Yeah.
325 now. That was 320, just short, shortly thereafter.
That is amazing. Now that's just the median. The average is at 375. And today I was literally at a home track, right? Up in
Now, I want to cut you off real quick.
Yeah.
Now, are we talking asking price or sales price?
No, I'm just talking about just the average across the valley because you said the median price, right? Was 325?
Sales price.
Okay, the sales
Correct.
price. Okay, gotcha, got you. Also, that depends on the location too as well.
It
But
does.
my point that I'm trying to get to here is that today I was up in Summerlin in Stonebridge, and I was in one of this newer communities, and there was this one particular motto that clients were very interested in, but they had so many interest in the property, and believe it or not, they're going through a bidding war just for the lot premium alone.
That's crazy.
I can't believe that.
That's crazy.
How big is the new homes right now as far as people out there? They're really attracted to that. There's not a lot of existing homes that you're dealing with, or is there some on the market?
That's not true. I'm doing really everything under the sun. Me personally, I can't speak for everybody else, but resales, not short sales anymore.
Yeah.
All right, thank God. But no, new home tracks are definitely a hot commodity.
So would you say that majority of your clients that you're closing, are they tending to go towards new homes or resale homes?
Me personally, I'm right down the middle.
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of both, and we do business.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some volume there. But
Oh, I know. I'm just interviewing you like we just met. So.
Well, Greg, how long you been in? You've been in this game for a while, right?
True.
Okay, so how long you been in the game for as far as real estate?
13, 14 years.
13, 14 years. And so what I get a lot of is I get people out there that are, I got a call today. You know what? We're waiting until the COVID, kind of goes, passes by. I don't think there's really a time frame for people to say, you know what?
How do you even time it?
Well, you can't. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Also, I did have a client today tell me that, they looking for something as an investment property like $250, and they're just giving up altogether. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because there's not a lot out there. Everybody keeps pushing me to condos, and they keep pushing me to townhomes. The thing is there really that really like less of properties on the market right now?
And when you get into those, condos and townhouses, which are lower in gross purchase price,
Yeah.
you're going to get higher HOA fees. And I think I talked about that last time I was here, briefly, which was many months ago.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's an opportunity for everyone out there. They need to be educated with their model. We need to figure out what those rental comps are to get them their ROI and the return on their investment that they're comfortable with.
And now here's the thing. What I was gonna say is like we're talking about townhomes with the HOAs being so high. You might as well just take that money, roll it over, and get financed for a little bit more money.
That's right.
And get a house at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you look at a townhome and you look at what you can buy for it. I mean, you got an HOA you got an HOA that's attached to it. Sometimes SIDS or LIDs. I mean, if somebody's coming out and trying to get into a condo, what's that starting price point really for somebody? I mean, is there people out there with 100,000, 150, purchase price, 150,000? Can they really buy something?
They absolutely can. I was actually researching something for a client recently, kind of on my own terms, not what they were looking for. And I was actually surprised to see that there's some pretty viable condos out there for $125K asking price. Now, they're one bedrooms, 900 square feet. Now, we have to make sense of what are those rents turning over, and how long does it take for me, not me personally, but for this model to get you your money back? It's a 10-year plan. Are you cool with that?
So I guess where is that breaking point where you want to get a single family residence, but you're kind of bought out of the market, and now you're getting steered towards condos or townhomes? Do you think it's around the 250, the 300 range, or?
I personally think it's less than that. I mean, there's kind of a gap right now. Now, again, what are we talking about? What community? Where are we at? Where are values? Summerlin and other parts of North Las Vegas, which can be fantastic areas, which might be misinterpreted.
Sure.
Everything's different. We have to break every property down specifically. and tailor that to that. But the reasoning is, if we're showing 13 homes in one day in 4 different areas, different areas of town, they're not going to remember the first one from the 13th.
Absolutely.
It ends up being counterproductive.
Yeah.
And that means you're not doing your job by educating the clients.
I'm consolidating the data that they're receiving, and I'll ask them, how do you rank this property? If you tell me it's a 10, my job's to get you that home.
That's right.
If you tell me it's a 6, probably not. So we kind of work on a scale system, but I always try to keep 2 at the top.
Yeah.
And if you tell me, I want that top 3, if you tell me there's a 4th one, well, one of them's getting bumped off the list.
Yeah.
That's just to keep them engaged and really understanding what they really like and what they've observed.
Now let me ask you this: what about like earnest money deposit? Not earnest money deposit, but like incentives. Mm-hmm. Is seller giving contributions now to buyers? Are you starting to see that?
It depends on the property. I'm assuming we're talking resale in this instance because new builds obviously case by case. If a property's on the market for a substantial period of time, I'm going to I'll tell my clients, I say, well, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
There's 2 reasons that it's still there.
Yeah.
Number 1, it's overpriced. Or number 2, what's wrong with it? Yeah. Or a caveat of number 3, it's both.
Yeah.
So typically it depends. It typically is overpriced.
Okay.
So I have to run values and figure out, well, what's going on with this property?
Okay.
Kind of be a little bit of a detective.
So how is your approach to something like that when a client does find a property they like and it's overpriced? Where do you begin and what is it that you do?
I set them up for success. I can't speak for the seller. I can't speak for the representation. I'm an ethical agent, and I say, look, I got to figure out where the seller's head's at. Yeah. What is the motivation for the seller to sell this property?
Yeah.
And we take it from there. Sometimes a seller just believes their house is worth more than it is, and you just can't get around that. But see, I'm there to protect my client, and if they're financing, they have a protection clause in the form of an appraisal.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you're never going to overpay.
Gotcha, got it.
Unless you want to.
You brought that up too, Greg. We were talking about this actually a couple of days ago. You said a lot of people are looking at maybe that the economy is going to tank, or maybe the market is going to have a problem at some point. This is what people say. We don't have any data. Do you deal with clients like that where they think maybe now's not the time, not just because of the COVID, maybe just because it's just people don't have the confidence in everything right now. It's not just one thing.
Like I said in the very beginning, you don't want to buy, out of fear, uncertainty, or doubt. That's just not rational. Don't let the market drive you out of fear. Base it on the data. And the data supports, again, the data doesn't lie.
And you can't time the market. That's the problem. And everybody's coming into this situation trying to time it because everybody's trying to play this thing like it's a stock market. You're buying a house. You're not buying a stock market.
It is in its own.
Well, but you know what? Let's talk about this. You have a lot of people that have maybe witnessed people in 2006, 7, and 8 that had problems.
Yeah.
You have people that maybe in the market that you see people were back in the day, they were looking at people suffering, and maybe they don't want to go through that suffering part, or they're thinking that they're going to go through it. So maybe they have that hint of caution or doubt. So I don't know. A lot of people, it just seems like there's always some type of news that comes out. But yet, if you go back and look at history and you look at what's going on in the economy, the market always recovers. Even in 7, 8, and 9, yes, we had a big decrease. We had a big depreciation in homes, but it still recovered. So even if you don't know if timing's right, I would rather put my money into something like a home. We talk about this, than paying rent. I would rather pay a mortgage, So I don't know. For me, you deal with a lot of people like that. I have a lot of people that says, well, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to collapse? And look, we talk about this a lot on the show, but it's just people are just not sure about what to do. I think that's what it is. They're just uncertain about the world. It's not just the housing market. It's just the world. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Chuck?
The first thing I'll do is we'll figure out, is this going to be a primary residence and how long you're going to stay there? And I talk about this all the time. If you're going to be there 10 years, okay, so let's take a look at the situation. Now, based upon you making this your primary residence, what is the location you're looking to buy, how many square foot, how much money you're looking to spend, because now we know exactly how much it's going to cost. Now we go get financing to see the type of loan, how much money you got to put down, how much it's going to cost you in the mortgage. Now we take a look at on the rental side in the same neighborhood.
Right.
Now we're comparing apples to apples. If it makes sense to rent at that point because it's cheaper, then go ahead and rent. Now, if it makes sense to buy because you're going to live there 10 to 15, 20 years, whatever it is, then go ahead and buy.
We were all in a position where we bought our first home. We've all been in a position, I don't know, or buying a second home or investment property. I think timing's a big thing. And I think people want to know who they're working with. People want to know, like, am I doing the right thing? There's a lot of people that's on the fence. When you have people like that, it's obviously a little bit harder maybe to guide them. But I think that you have to come up with some ideas and say, look, here's the pros, here's the cons. weigh it out, and then go through that process. The last thing you want is somebody that's like, well, I don't know. Then they start the process of doing either a home loan or actually coming out here and looking at houses, and then they retract all of a sudden, and they're back to like, hey, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know what's happening. What are your thoughts? It's just, I think when you're dealing with clients like that, people want to know and trust you, and I think that's really hard, especially when you have an ever-changing world like what's going on now. So you're a real estate agent out there. You're trying to talk with people and trying to build that trust. What are some of the key points that people want to hear or want to know about?
It's not about what they want to hear. It's about educating them. What they want, does it even exist? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, we can go through the whole financing part of it, and they find out I'm only qualified for $350, but based upon what they're looking for, it doesn't exist. You just answered your question. Right now is not a good time for you.
Right. There you go.
That's it.
See, and that's what people want to hear. Sometimes it isn't.
And that does happen a lot too as well, because they think they can come out here and they can buy, Taj Mahal, but they ain't getting the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people that follow you. They want to know what's going on in the world. So let's talk about downtown. Is there anything happening in downtown? There were some high rises and stuff going on. Is there high rise opportunities right now for people out there? Because I'm just trying to give everybody an insight. Maybe go outside the spectrum of just the normal existing home and cookie cutter and new homes. Is there things out there like that where there's townhomes available, or there's high rises available, or there's an opportunity for somebody to plant their money somewhere and actually get a return on investment down the road?
Well, you ain't gonna get a return on investment on the high rise. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, HOA fees are like $600-$700. It just doesn't make any sense at this time.
Just depends on lifestyle.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's what that comes down to. It's just lifestyle.
It's really lifestyle.
I've had clients that buy fourplexes, duplexes. Is there any out there? Do they make them anymore?
No, they don't make any more fourplexes. A lot of them were built in the early 80s, so a lot of these fourplexes that are for sale, they're about $100,000 per door. The seller is asking a lot more than what it's worth. A lot of them have to be rehabbed because of the age of the home, and it makes no sense of getting into something like that for $400,000 and dumping another $80,000 into it. Your return just doesn't make any sense. And the owners of the property, they don't care because they bought it for $80,000, and their cash flow is probably, the return on investment is probably like 50-something%.
Pretty good.
Ridiculous.
So do you think a lot of people out there kind of think that, well, I know what the market's doing. I know rates are going to stay low forever.
Yeah.
Okay. How many times have people say, they're not going to go up, or they probably won't go up for a couple years? They probably won't. I don't think our economy could sustain another increase in rates. Yeah. But I can tell you that things may change. Okay. Now, this whole thing where we're talking about, it's like a perfect storm. You got low rates. Maybe the inventory could be a little bit more on the existing side. But if you look at the new homes, they're building like crazy. I had somebody ask me the other day, what are they going to do? They're running out of land. Are they running out of land right now to build new homes? Or are they going to keep going out towards Utah, maybe towards Pahrump? What's happening with that?
The crazy thing about that is I had a friend that flew in the other day, and he was telling me as he was flying in, he was looking down, and this is true because, I fly all the time. There is a lot of land out here still, but everything is like all interlocked. So, there's still a lot of land out here to build.
A lot of dirt, but it's owned. My folks, they, we're very well rooted here in Vegas, and my folks owned land. It was out near West End Road, right?
Yeah.
Way back in the day. It was the end of the world. They were talking like the 70s, right? And I'm like, you guys should have held on to that, but they didn't, and they sold it, and they had partners with family. That's not really my point. My point is there's land out there, but it is owned for the most part. And most of the times when I'm working on land deals, they're way overpriced. Because people think they're sitting on a gold mine, and maybe they are.
Yeah.
Maybe they are. But, that guess is as good as mine.
I just don't think that something's going to stop in the next few years, right? People are so scared that rates are going to go up and the payment, if they're going to get into a mortgage, things are going to change. But you don't think that the land is going to actually, where we don't have enough here to build?
I don't think anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So people shouldn't be worried about it.
Oh, no, but let me ask you this, Greg. Do you think this market will still be healthy for another 6 more months? Based upon your own opinion.
This market right now, we have historic low interest rates. And I think in this economic climate, raising them would be of detriment.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. What do I know? I know nothing. I just know what I observe.
Yeah.
So I think that things are moving in the right direction. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts that are outside of, the scope of what we actually do. It's on a grander level. But all I can speak for is in the now. People are buying, people are selling. The market's very healthy, and it's something that we didn't really anticipate, not knowing what we were going into.
Well, so a lot of times I see that people are hesitant about maybe, I want to talk about rates a little bit because I want to really kind of give an insight about what's happening with refinances. So do you guys have a lot of people that, I think real estate agents have a bigger sense of pushing or directing people to try to get into reducing their rate or maybe taking cash out, repositioning like we talked about. Lenders, like I say this all the time, lenders are really, it's not the fun part. It's really not the glamorous part of it. You're dealing with money, you're talking about finances, it's something you do behind the doors, and you want to be real secret about it. Now, when you're talking about real estate agents have the ability to really help with guiding a client. And do you guys have a lot of people that you talk to that might look into refinancing or may not refinance or take cash out, maybe buy an investment property or something? Because I know you deal with a lot of different dynamics. Like you said, I don't really know that much about financing. You guys know enough. You're dangerous.
Not entirely true. That's not what I do for a living. Yeah, right. I've done this long enough that I can definitely, gear, not steer in the right direction. But I have no problem saying I don't have the answer. What I will say, though, is I know people that do.
There you go. You're really good at it, man. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, Chuck, you as far as being in the business, you don't know the back details. Like I've talked to him about it, but he knows enough where it's like, I know if somebody, like you tell me all the time, your whole process of working with somebody is you can be on the other side and be like, I know when somebody's BSing me. You know what I mean? I know when somebody's not telling me the right, and I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to talk to my lender. I'm going to talk to somebody else because something doesn't seem right. So I think a lot of people want to have that trust. But I think right now, with going back to refinances and with rates, it's refinance season. They said they're going to have the biggest refinance boom going on right now in really just in all in the mortgages in general.
So are people cashing out? Or are they?
I think a lot of people are doing both, but I think what a lot of people are doing is just exercising to see if it makes sense.
Their money out to live?
No, they're taking it, repositioning, like you say, pivoting. Maybe they're paying off debt. Upgrades. Maybe they're putting that pool in. How many times does everybody want a pool when they look at a home? It's like, hey, I'm gonna put a pool in or whatever they're gonna do. But I think with the equity that's been built and with rates being low, there's an opportunity. We have a caller on line 1 buying a new home. She's from California. Can you go ahead and push her through? Hello, this is Dan French, LB Home Experts, the show. How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Great.
Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you.
What's your question?
I'm interested. My kids live in Vegas, and I've spoken to Chuck a couple of times, and with everything going on, we kind of held back. I'm a healthcare worker, and so just trying to take every day, one day at a time and see what's going on. But and I was listening to you guys talking, and I had the same thing in mind where I was thinking I'll wait till this virus passes, or I thought that the market might tank and it would be my good time to try and purchase a home. But it looks like it's doing just the opposite. People are buying homes, seems like more than ever. So I wanted to know, I don't own a home. I'm renting right now, but I'm interested in buying a home in Vegas, and I just want to know if you guys could guide me so I won't be disappointed. I was in love with the area of Summerlin. My son lives out there. He went to UNLV and then decided to make his home there. He's been there for about 4 years now. And we go out and visit all the time, so I was interested in purchasing something. We've been to Henderson, Summerlin, and those are the two areas that I really like.
Yeah.
So, and I'm interested in a new home.
Well, how would you answer this question, Greg?
Well, it's going to depend. Are you currently renting, or do you have home ownership where you currently reside?
We're renting right now, and we've been here for about 15 years.
What is the duration of your lease, and when does it end?
We're out of the lease.
So you're month to month.
Month to
month.
Yeah.
So just having an understanding of new builds, you're going to be looking at, depending on community, they're all different. Some are lagging 8 months on a traditional 6-month build. But the rule of thumb, depending on the size of the home, we're not really there yet, but you're probably looking 6 to 8 months for a build. So we would want to coordinate that for starters and see if that time frame would work. But you having the ability going month to month, you're not locked down. So it really just comes down to a landlord that's willing to work with you to stay there until we could
Yeah.
We have a really good relationship with them. So like I said, we've been here for 15 years.
That's huge. And that would be a seamless transition, So we find you the right property, all the numbers pencil, we get the groundwork, ahead, and we buy you a new home. The biggest thing is time frames moving from state to state, and it's such a luxury when you have a good landlord that's willing to work with you.
So in this case, what would be the next step for her?
Essentially, we have to figure out your product. We have to get you approved. Are you going to finance?
I'm not sure. I would like to speak with you guys in more detail. Maybe at a later time we can get in touch.
Yeah, we'd have to exhaust all options. Now, another thing is that all these builds, unfortunately, there were some hardships with buyers during the pandemic. And a lot of properties may have been underway being built, maybe one that you fall in love with that plan. And there can be different time frames of the build. You can have a 3-month, you can have a 1 month, you can have something standing. So it ultimately depends on what your comfortable time frame and us exhausting the inventory that's out there that's good for, fit your needs for your family.
Okay. And then will it be a problem if it's our primary residence, but we would be traveling back and forth, I guess?
If we're gonna finance, it's gonna come down to, can we prove residency? Right, Dan?
Yeah, I didn't want to chime in. I just wanted to let Greg answer that. But yeah, it would come down to occupancy. There's some challenges, but it's not stuff we can't overcome. But I know that's sensitive information. We can talk outside studio on this, because I know, like I said, I've been saying this. The real estate part of it and the finding a home is the fun part. So we'll talk about that after the show. Maybe we'll give you a call on Monday or something and see what we can do with you. Okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
Thanks so much for the call.
Thank you for the call.